The Creative Psychotherapist is the official podcast of the Creative Clinicians Corner, a practice-building resource for creative psychotherapists. TCP Podcast is the cast for creative, expressive, and experiential-focused psychotherapists curious to learn how to design, build, and scale a thriving private practice. Your host, Raina Lombardi, interviews successful therapists about the tools and strategies they have used to develop creative-focused practices. They also talk about the products, services, and side hustles they have developed using their knowledge and creativity to enhance their therapy practices, make a greater impact in their communities, and diversify their income streams. Welcome. Now here's your host, Raina Lombardi. Please welcome Dr. April Brown. She's a licensed mental health Christian counselor, certified school counselor, distant certified counselor, national certified counselor, Florida certified sex therapist, and a qualified clinical supervisor. That's a lot of credentials. She holds a bachelor's degree in business, master's and specialist degree in counseling and human systems, and a doctoral degree in counseling psychology, and has been in the field since 1997. She has a diverse background in counseling children, teens, adults, couples, and families from various cultures and backgrounds. In addition, she's worked in community centers, public schools, universities, businesses, and private practice, and has donated her time and services to help out a variety of different mental health, addiction, homeless, and community agencies. She has a thriving private practice since 2005 in the Fort Myers and Cape Coral area, where she specializes in anxiety, depression, self-esteem, relationships and sex therapy, emotional support animals, and distance counseling. As an entrepreneur, she also mentors 3 counselors and supervises 10 beginning counselor interns, who some of them are creating their own private practices as well. In 2018, Dr. April started hosting her own online radio TV show called Bringing Intimacy Back, where she and other intimacy experts provide resources and tips on increasing intimacy in all types of relationships. In addition, during 2018, she was the recipient of the Southwest Florida Black Girls Rock in Health Award. Her newest creation is Vacation Counseling, which is an intimate, exclusive, and effective couples counseling retreat that will start in the summer of 2020 in Southwest Florida. She is also very involved in the mental health field in her local community, is a member of the American Counseling Association, American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, and the Florida Mental Health Counselors Association. Furthermore, she's the president of the Gulf Coast Mental Health Counselors Association and the vice president of End Literacy for All, which are both local programs. Overall, she's helped and empowered over 5,000 individuals reach their goals of overcoming struggles, gaining insight, and becoming more intimately connected in their relationships. Most of all, Dr. April believes in helping people intimately connect with themselves, others, and their higher power so that they can decrease conflicts, anxiety, and depression in their lives. This will enable people to be empowered to know and live a purposeful life. She is surrounded by loving friends and family, including her hubby, 2 girls, her parents, and a cat. Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on the show here. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy that you're willing to come on. Obviously, I've known you for a while now, and I knew that you were distinguished and held a lot of credentials, but I don't think until I was reading this that I realized how many different certifications in counseling that you hold, and how you interweave all of them in the work that you do. But thanks for being on the show.
Okay, you're welcome. Yes. I think it's important to always keep learning as a therapist. And so that's why I do that. So it's just to keep learning.
Absolutely. It's really important to keep learning. The learning never stops in this process, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm excited for you to talk about the vacation counseling aspect of your business and how you are developing that, because I think it's a very creative approach to kind of branching off and offering something really special from what you typically do in private practice. And so, can you start by just sharing a little bit about what vacation counseling is?
Okay, yes. Well, thank you for asking about it. Well, vacation counseling, it is a couples counseling retreat that will be starting this summer in 2020. And what vacation counseling is, it's taking couples who are wanting to go on vacation. And right now we're doing it in Southwest Florida, but we're hoping to expand. So as a couple, you come to Southwest Florida, you stay in a luxurious vacation rental. So you're outside of your home environment, and you're going to receive intense counseling services. And for the weekend, you receive for about 15 hours, which for some couples will take 3 months to do. And in that intense counseling, the counselors are coming to your vacation rental. Okay, it's a set schedule, or for a little bit of flexible schedule, but you'll have someone who'll come for individual, for marriage and family, and of course, I do a lot of the intimacy. And then for the week-long one, we also have a variety of different type of therapists who can come for trauma, addiction, creative stuff. So besides having counseling services, I also want the couples to experience a vacation, to be calm, relax, have services. So there's going to be boat rentals. I just spoke with someone who's able to bring food, catering, just a variety of massages. It's helping you to be in a safe environment, away from distractions or other people that you may know, and to really talk about what's going on. So it is pretty intense. And before you even get to join vacation counseling, there's a process that we have to make sure you qualify, but also so we can get to know you.
Sure.
So we're going to, besides having an application, that you write down and stuff, we'll also be doing a video. We also will talk with you. So before you get here as a couple, the therapists are going to know a lot about you. So we are ready to work just as hard as you are, and getting some issues resolved, and for you as a couple to become more intimate.
I see. When I hear you describe it, it sounds almost like you're an all-inclusive, like an inclusive kind of place, but it's private. Everything is being coming to you directly. And
yes, exactly.
So that can kind of alleviate some of the stress and worry that comes with that kind of trip, where you're out of your element and you're kind of wondering, well, what am I going to do for food? And if we're staying at a house, like, how am I going to know where to go? And but it sounds like you're going to curate all of that and bring that to them.
Yes, definitely. Other services will be brought to you. Yes. And so that's going to help, like you say, you feel more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And for some people going to counseling, it's very like, I don't want my neighbors to know, or, I'm out in DC or California and so and so and so and so, but this is strictly confidential.
Sure.
And inclusive, one couple at a time.
One couple at a time. I like that idea. And so how long, when you say the couple would probably be in counseling about 15 hours over the course of a weekend, how is this structured? Are they there for 4 days? Are they there for 5 days?
So for the weekend, we're doing weekend services, and it's going to start in May, and it's the second weekend of the summer months. So May, June, July, August, September. And it's 3 days. And in those 3 days, you're going to have about 5 hours a day of therapy. Okay. We also have the opportunity for 2 week-long ones. Okay. And that's 27 hours of therapy, which will include some of the extra types of therapies that are available depending on what's going on with you. And you get to select the type of therapy that you would want to participate in.
Okay, so very concierge oriented type
Yes,
services.
yes.
And so with the vacation piece, what are some options that people would be able to do by participating in this type of program?
Okay, so here in Southwest Florida, we're of course in most of the accommodations that you're going to be staying at. You'll be staying at where you can have boat rentals because it's on a canal. So you
Okay.
can do boat rentals. We also have a variety of different little museums, different little tours that you can do of Southwest Florida, different activities. And here that's local. Of course, we have the concierge, the food. We also have the massage.
Hmm. And that
You know,
also
different.
comes
And
to the house.
yes, and yoga if you like, or personal fitness and that kind of stuff. So we want to make it where there's creative for a variety of different things.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you like different activities, we're going to try to help provide that for you.
Wonderful. It is definitely a very creative model, and coming up with it, it's like a retreat specifically for couples,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of different elements going into it.
Yes.
What spurred upon this idea for you? How did you say, you know what, I think this would be a good idea, and I want to put this into action?
Okay. Well, two things. One thing is I had a client come to me all the way from Sweden, and
Oh,
she
wow.
left her kids of four kids, like four kids and a husband, and she just wanted a vacation and she wanted some counseling, and she just wanted to be able to just get away and to think and stuff. And so when she came and I would see her every day for a few hours, we really got a lot of work done.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was even shocked by how much work we were able to accomplish, and I thought seeing someone every day, you know, yes. But it really worked out, and she went back, and and she's better with her husband and a variety of different things. So that just got me to start to think, okay. And then also my partner does vacation rentals. And
Okay.
so with me just starting to think, and then I was like, oh, if you're, and because I've been in one of the vacation rentals and I've been on vacation myself as a couple, and how sometimes that's when because I hear many couples feel like they really connect when they're on vacation.
Hmm.
Yes. And so how to take that experience, but also talk about tough things and how to maintain that. So vacation counseling, besides that weekend or week, we will also have aftercare services through
Hmm.
telemental health and a variety of things of how do you maintain that um, commitment, that passion, that time spent. And when I talk a lot about intimacy, what I really mean is that intimate connection. You
Yeah.
know, it's intimate you see. So it's being with, your partner and just actually like the souls are talking, or you're able to let down your hair. You know what I'm saying? Just be comfortable and be able to talk and share in a wonderful surrounding atmosphere. And so we're looking for couples who are sometimes struggling in that they don't know
Mhm.
how to communicate.
Sure.
Um, they feel like I can't listen, or everyone's mad at one another, or there's a lot of disrespect or a variety of things going on. And as therapists, when we come and we actually teach you how to communicate, how to sit on the couch, how to talk, how to do this, how to do that.
Are you wanting a vacation in paradise? A vacation to rekindle the passion? A vacation without the kids? A vacation where you can learn how to communicate, where you and your partner hear each other and gain insight? Vacation counseling is your next vacation. Stay in one of our exclusive villas for the ultimate couples retreat. Enjoy dining, boating, and all that South Florida has to offer. Let our counselors guide you through the rest. Vacation counseling, accepting applications for summer 2020. Visit www.vacationcounseling.com for more information.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind when I hear you say the challenge about creating and maintaining intimacy in the relationship is we get so busy in the day-to-day grind and the
Right.
routine of the day-to-day grind that sometimes I think when we're with somebody for a really long time, we neglect that creating that sacred time for the other person because they're always there.
Right.
And then over time, we realize, okay, in doing so, we're now neglecting the relationship because we're not tending to it, we're not nurturing it, we're not feeding it, and there's a lot of value in creating that time and carving out that time. And so, sounds like teaching them how to do that once they get back into their day-to-day lives again after they invest all this time in the um, couples counseling retreat experience, that would be an important part of the work that you're doing with them.
Yeah. And one even quick tip is when you're having dinner with your significant others to put down the phones.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yeah. Because many times that doesn't happen. Everybody's doing X, Y, Z. But in the sense of creating that intimate bond,
Right.
letting go of the technology and just being present.
That definitely is a modern challenge in relationships of all types, even with parents and kids too. That comes
Yes.
up for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah. And this will give them time to actually, sometimes you don't get a chance to talk. You have so much distraction in, especially when you have, well, not especially, but when you have a lot of kids or some kids, so you just don't get that peaceful time in a safe environment. And so this will provide that safe, wonderful experience that you can go home and take with you and learn how to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And so is there any other exciting things that you're working on related to bringing this into reality? So clearly, it sounds like it's a lot of work. It's not something that, oh, I just came up with this idea and now it's magically happening. What are the things that you're having to do in order to bring it to light?
Well, of course, the whole marketing piece is a big part.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I was doing, I got this idea of vacation counseling. To be honest with you, I got vacation counseling and another idea of bringing intimacy back roughly around the same time. Okay. But I had started the Bringing Intimacy Back. And so Bringing Intimacy Back is a show that is now on podcast, where we talk about different intimate connections and stuff. So I'm using that show to hopefully give some more information out in promoting vacation counseling, but also using the show to help bring information and insight and educational stuff to people out there about different ways of being intimate and in a variety of different ways. So that's one part, it's the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And of course, with marketing, you also are creating websites and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yes. The other part is also getting out there to know different counselors, because I want this to also be something that it's not not necessarily a local thing, but a national and international thing. So going to conferences, also just Googling, finding different counselors, talking with them and stuff, which has been really helpful because you just get to learn a lot more about a variety of things that are out there. So that's another aspect. Yes. And then probably a third aspect for myself is I'm new to vacations. I mean, I like vacation, enjoy vacation and stuff but that concierge services, and I've received it in many different ways at different places that I've traveled through. So brushing up on my skills, learning more about how I can provide great service to our couples. It's been another aspect of learning and stuff. And so also with vacation counseling, the thing about it is that it's a collaboration. It's not just Dr. April, it's a collaboration of a lot of other counselors. And that has been a really great thing. And I think when you're, can I put it, when you're working with a therapist, and I know myself, I see couples myself, okay? So you're working with one therapist. But if you have with this here, you're going to have a group of therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so in every couple that comes will definitely have a male and a female, at least one of each or whatever. But that brings on, how can I put, more insight,
Mm-hmm.
Different perspectives, but it helps you, like, it's not just the same old person saying it. It's, different concepts. So I think that is a really great thing also.
Yeah, I love the idea of collaboration and working with other people. I really believe that we can accomplish more and reach more people when we are willing to be open and connect and collaborate.
Yes.
Versus looking at other people helping other people as competition.
Yes. Yes. So it's a collaborative, which I think it's going to be just great in that aspect of of a lot of us working together to provide services. Yes. And so we're only going to, because this is the first time that we have it, we're only taking 7 couples.
Only taking 7 couples. And
yes.
So,
and for 7 different time periods, 1 couple at a time.
1 couple at a time. And
yes.
So what's the process that a couple would have to go through if they were interested in signing on to be a couple to receive this experience?
Okay, yeah, well, thanks for asking. So the first thing, of course, is to go onto the website, and it's vacation counseling. So it's basically just how it's spelled, vacationingandcounseling.com. And you check it out. And in there's a section called packages and selections. And you fill out this place where you can fill out basic information, and you send a request to find out more information about it. And once you do that, we're going to send you a little brochure that will provide detailed information about what your typical day will look like, more information about the different type of therapy. You'll see a little summary on the website, but more in detail. And so you read that information and stuff. And if you're definitely interested, there's a number to call. And you're going to reach Jennifer's the assistant. And she's going to talk to you about vacation counseling if this is something that you really want to do. Then what we're asking is for you to just do a short 5-minute video on why you think you would like to come, or what's special or what's going on. Just a short video. You don't have to get into the whole thing, but we just want to get to know you. Yes. We will review the video, and if you make it past that point, we're going to send you an application, and you fill that out and you put down a deposit, and we will get, once the deposit is there, then we will do an assessment.
Okay.
Which is a more detailed assessment of what's going on, and you get an interview and stuff. And so you will talk with a therapist and stuff, and then you come here. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just the process of qualifying, just to make sure, because we're not for everyone.
Right.
Okay. And I would love to say that every relationship can be saved, but being in the field, and the great part of it is I'm with other therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we know what it takes, and certain situations requires more than just a weekend or a week. But we want to make sure that when you sign on, that we are able to help you as a couple become better and more cohesive.
Sure. That
together.
Makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes.
I'm sure this is it's a big investment to
Right.
just take time away from your family and your
Right.
work, et cetera. And so you want to make sure that people aren't quote unquote wasting their time.
Right. We want to make sure we're a good fit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense, because it is a huge investment.
Yes.
Of time, and I'm sure financially as well, that there's an investment there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so how many, the selection of vacation homes that the couples would be able to stay in, is there like one home that they would be assigned to, or are these places that they would get to choose for themselves?
Yes, if you go into our website, there is at least 5 homes right now that are listed there.
Okay.
Okay, and when you click on there, you can see, and their prices range. Okay, most are on the water, but you can click in there and you can see the bedrooms, the kitchen, the pools. They all have pools. They all have
Nice.
jacuzzis. Yeah, so you can see the different aspects and see if that's a place that you would like to be. You can stay in the facility longer than the workshop or longer than the retreat. Yeah, so if you're
Okay.
coming just for the retreat and if you want to stay longer, you can. So yes, so it's not just
Okay.
one size. No, there's a variety of different
So we're
homes and
looking
stuff.
at customization throughout the entire process
Yes,
for the folks, which is really cool.
yes,
Awesome.
yes. We're excited and we're wanting to how can I say it? We want to make sure that it's a perfect fit for you and that we meet your needs.
Yeah.
So in this process, you're going to be telling us, and we're going to be tailoring our service to meet you,
Very
meet your
cool.
needs. Yes.
Very cool. If other therapists were looking into like an idea of creating something like this, and it might not necessarily be like a couples counseling weekend or retreat, but it's definitely something that's not part of the everyday part of a private practice. It's very specialized. What are some tips or advice or suggestions you would have to somebody who's considering this type of creative idea that's totally outside of the box and probably not something that they've received any guidance on in their training
Okay.
thus far,
Okay. So one thing I would definitely say, well, a couple of things, but the first thing that came to mind is collaborate. Okay. Don't try to take it all on your own.
Yeah.
That's very important. The next, number 2, what I would say, and what I always say to myself, is kind of stay in your lane. And what I mean by that, so we're doing vacation counseling. Okay. And so when you go onto the website, you're going to see that the accommodations are, you pay them separately.
Okay.
And you pay the counseling fee separately. Okay. And the reason why is because there's, as therapists, we have certain liability issues in insurance and stuff.
Sure.
And for someone who's in the hotel, vacation rental business, whatever, there's a certain other liability and stuff. So you've got to kind of research to understand what your limitations are, and to know what you can take on and what you can't take on. So for me, I decided I needed to stay in my lane. And so that's why the accommodation prices, you pay that person separately than what you pay for the therapy services.
That makes sense. And what I hear you saying in that too is that there's also thinking about the legal logistics of
Yes.
the project that you're doing and really figuring out those kinds of questions about liability and how to make sure that you're taking care of that piece too.
Yes. Yes. The third thing I would say is not to chew on too much. Like for what we're doing it during off season.
Oh yeah.
So for us, season in the sense of being in therapy or living in Southwest Florida, it's a very busy time. So we're doing it in off season because if you're starting a new project, it is going to take away some time from your business, but you want to make sure you're able to do your business, your normal business, when you're starting something new, because you've got to, feed your family, feed yourself.
Right.
So it's learning how to balance that. So I think that's something else to consider. The third thing, or the fourth thing probably would be, is to go to conferences, see different aspects. When you're trying something new, like for me, this whole vacation part is new to me. So I've gone to a conference and I'm talking to people in that realm to understand more, because don't think you know it all.
That
and reading more about it and that kind of stuff. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That
Yes.
humbleness and humility is helpful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't be afraid to try different things. I would say that. Yes.
Don't be yeah. Well, in order to do something new that hasn't been done before, that is creative and that gets you fired up and excited, I think, we have to be willing to dip our toes into new waters.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that stood out to me in your recommendations is creating balance within your time. And as somebody who is highly successful, you have your hands in a lot of pots. You're the president of an association, a vice president of another association. Those kinds of volunteer aspects take up a lot of time. You're running a private practice. You're starting this piece. You also are doing your podcasts and your show. Plus, you have a family.
Yes.
How do you manage structuring your time so that you are balanced and you have that quality time and you can maintain the intimacy in your relationships, as you're guiding people to create that in their own life?
So one of the things that I've done, and I tell my beginning counselors in the same thing, in the sense of my counseling sessions, they're specified. So I don't, in the beginning, when you start as counselor, I would just see people whenever they want to be seen. But as you mature and stuff, you learn to like, hey, this is my time and this is it. So the specific times that I do therapy. Then in the sense of all this other stuff, I've taken days off. Today's actually a Wednesday, but on Thursdays, and usually and every Thursday, it's a whole day without therapy. So on that day, I do a lot of running around this and that kind of stuff. I'm a pretty scheduled person, and so I do think it helps to schedule. So even when it comes to vacation and spending time with hubby, and who's very busy himself, we sit there and look at our calendars and we match it up.
Okay.
So we match times where we can spend time to be together or have time with the family. I just came back from New York, so I just saw my daughter in New York. Now it's really great. So I took off the whole time. So in my mind also, as I look forward in each month, I know there's a certain amount of time that I can spend in therapy, and that's it. Okay. I don't try to do more than what I can do. So I think that helps. I do work at another thing that I learned, and this is kind of a process I learned when I was working on my doctoral degree. In some things I do, I have to time myself. And I know it sounds like a little nuts, but if I don't put a clock, I can do something for an hour and totally focus, because that's what I do in therapy. So I've learned that if I don't put a timer, and even in the sense of doing notes or research, if I don't put a timer on and say, but that's when you focus, then I would get distracted. So I put a timer on things, different little tasks that I have to do. And that keeps me focused and not distracted, just because I can be. Yeah.
No, that's really great advice, because it's so easy to get distracted and derailed and find yourself off in another task that you're like, I need to get to that, but that's not what I sat down to do right now, especially with the emails popping up, right?
Yes,
on the computer, email will just take you. It's a runaway train sometimes.
Yes. And I've learned to say no. I think that's another thing. I'm learning to stay in my lane and to do what I can do. Yes. And not to take on too many more. Like, I'm not taking on any new projects. I mean, this is it for a while. So yes. So learning how to just, I say, stay in my lane.
Well, I think saying no is really a big thing. for the majority of counselors and therapists that I know, I feel like we are a very overachieving bunch of people.
Yes.
And sometimes that means saying yes to things that we would love to do and we're excited about. And, and ideally we would have the time, but in reality we don't. And
Right.
so when we say yes to certain things related to business endeavors and creative business endeavors, we're going to be saying no to something else, whether that's a different aspect of our business or an aspect of our personal and family life.
Right.
And that is a hard lesson to learn, as something
Yes.
I'm working through myself.
Yes. Yes. And especially with family life, because I've raised a daughter, I'm in the process of raising another. I think it's really important to spend time with your kids. And I'd always, I've never missed an activity of hers or whatever. So I think that's really, knowing your priorities is really, really important. And so my family comes first. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love your suggestion about sitting together as a couple, both entrepreneurs, both
Yes.
running and operating your own businesses, which we know requires a lot of time, but sitting down together and before scheduling any of the business stuff that's going to fill the calendar. If it's open, it will get filled.
Right.
Dedicating and really mapping out intentionally that time that you're going to spend together as a couple.
Yes.
Whether that's for a few hours or whether that's for a trip.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. And we check in every week. We check in on our calendars and and stuff, and seeing how things are going and how we can move things around and stuff. So it's really important.
That's wonderful advice.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to share about the process of creating different types of things? Obviously, you've created a group practice, you've created this new endeavor with vacation counseling, but you've also created your own radio show, TV show, podcast. You are very creative in the work that you do. Is there anything else that you'd like to share to the audience that you think might benefit them as they go into their own creative journey?
A couple of things. One thing that I was thinking of, and even though I've created all these things, sometimes you get scared when you create something and you feel like it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so even with my show, it's a work in progress. But I've come to the realization that I feel like I'm called to do the show. So I'm going to do the show until I really do perfect it. So I'm not going to give up. There's a motto that I have. There's no excuses. So when I set my mind to something and I'm going to try and work it out, I will try. Even if it fails a little, I'm like, okay, I take the criticism and I say, okay, what can be done better? How can I do this better? I think that's really important. Number two, as an entrepreneur, I do think that it has to be a strong mind, strong body, mind, spirit, and soul. So spending time to meditate, to take in everything, spending time working out, because being an entrepreneur, you use a lot of energy.
Yes, you do.
Yes, and you can get in the habit of eating poorly or eating whatever and being, or as all of us therapists have couches, we could get in the habit of just sleeping on the couch. So one of the things that I've been really trying to focus on lately for myself is that I make sure I try to work out and exercise, because I don't know, I read something where sitting is like smoking, and that's like, oh my gosh. And as therapists, we sit a lot.
Oh my God. Yes. We're sitting all the time. Yeah.
So I found that waking up early, going to work out has really helped me to clear my mind and help me focus.
Absolutely. That's part of my routine too. And I definitely feel it when when I haven't been consistent
Right.
in working out, and it really affects my ability to maintain my intrinsic motivation to accomplish all the tasks that need to get completed in order
Right.
to really realize the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. It makes a huge difference. So that
Yes.
self-care piece.
Yes, definitely. I would also say to be very organized, try to, and one of my pet peeves, I really try to, like, if I'm having a meeting of any sort, I try to have an agenda. I just try to be organized, to be conscious of my time and someone else's time. I think it's really, really important. And one of the last other things, which I've said maybe a few times already, it's collaborate. As a
Yeah.
therapist or even as an entrepreneur. And I know in some fields, I'm blessed that in Southwest Florida, I have a lot of counselor friends. But it's, so if you're listening and you're out there and you're thinking, well, I don't want to talk to my friend who's a therapist or this therapist I know, because you think it's competition, when we're really all here to help other people, and not every client is going to be for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really, really important, if you're an entrepreneur of any sort, to talk to people in your field.
I agree.
Yes, it's really important. And if you see leaders in your field, it's okay to approach them and talk to them and get to figure out how they did it. But yeah, do not just think I have to create this whole wheel by myself.
Yeah, that's important. Reaching out for help, working together. We can work smarter when we work together, because again, it brings a different lens, different viewpoint to the work that you're doing, and they might have some ideas, or they've walked the walk, and so they know what works and what doesn't.
Yes.
Might be able to help you jump over some pitfalls.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Yes.
So if listeners wanted to find out more about you, more about the work that you're doing with vacation counseling, and more about the Bringing Intimacy Back podcast, where could they find you and how could they reach you?
Okay, there's a lot of different ways you can reach me, but let me first talk about vacation counseling. If you're interested in vacation counseling, please go to the website, www.vacationcounseling.com, or you can give the phone number. It's 941-404-5717. Okay, you can reach me through that. Or I go by Dr. April. So if you want to reach me specifically, you can go onto my website at www.draprilbrown.com. So it's draprilbrown.com. And you can check me out there. I'm on social media under Dr. April. If you're talking about the show, it's Bringing Intimacy Back. If you Google that, you'll see the show. It's either on YouTube, also on podcasts. So there's a lot of different elements of how you can. I'm on Twitter too, and LinkedIn. So a lot of different ways you can contact me.
Well, we'll definitely make sure to have the websites, the phone number, and a link to access the podcast on YouTube, and your personal draprilbrown.com website in the show notes, so that people can reach out to you. Is there anything else that we should add in the show notes? Any other resources or anything?
Not that I can think of. I think you guys covered everything.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, I am grateful for you coming on and talking to us about this today, and I hope that our listeners are inspired and excited to take their own creative risks in their practice building themselves.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, and I really appreciate being able to talk. And if anyone has any questions or ideas about a concept or something that they wanted just to talk, I feel like I love helping beginning counselors. So
awesome.
Check me out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Creative Psychotherapist. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. For show notes, downloads, and additional resources, head over to the website at www.creativeclinicianscorner.com.